In 2017, the Washington Wizards were only one game away from reaching the Eastern Conference Finals, but lost in Game 7 against the Boston Celtics. It looked like they were only one star or even one role player away from contending in the Eastern Conference. But only 2.5 years later, they've missed the playoffs last year, and it looks to be the same result this year. This team looks promising with young assets such as Thomas Bryant, Rui Hachimura, and Mo Wagner. And of course the star-studded backcourt of John Wall and Bradley Beal. But they don't look to be contending in the near future until at least John Wall comes back from injury. So what happened over a span of 2.5 years that made them go from near Eastern Conference contenders to one of the worst teams in the Eastern Conference? So here is the downfall of the Washington Wizards. The story of the Wizards has to start in 2014, the first year that both Wall and Beal would make the playoffs together. They looked very promising, upsetting the Chicago Bulls in 5 games, but lost in 6 games against the Indiana Pacers. It was a good playoff run for a team that no one thought would be in that position to begin with. They would make the playoffs the next year too, where they would end up sweeping the Toronto Raptors in the first round. They would go on to face the number 1 seed Atlanta Hawks and lose in 6 games. After a game-tying Paul Pierce buzzer beater was just a second too late. The next year would take a turn for the worse for the Wizards, as the backcourt of Wall and Beal were battling injuries the whole entire year. The Wizards would end up missing the playoffs that year with a record of 41-41 as the 10th seed. But the 2016-2017 season would take a step in the right direction, as Wall and Beal would lead the Wizards to the 4th seed in the East, as well as winning the Southeast Division and would beat the Atlanta Hawks in the first round in 6 games. In the second round, however, they lost to the Celtics in Game 7. But the Wizards organization was excited for the Wizards' future, as the backcourt of Wall and Beal were finally starting to gel. And fans felt like they could be a threat in the East for years to come, and some fans had them going to the Eastern Conference Finals next year. But the 2017-18 season was a season to forget for the Wizards. But even though John Wall was battling injuries, the Wizards were still winning games. But the wheels all came off in March, where they would fall from 4th place all the way down to 8th place. But still, they would make the playoffs and they would play the first seed Raptors and lose to them in 6 games. And all the expectations of them making the Eastern Conference Finals were gone. The next year, team drama was all over the place. There was new rumors that John Wall wanted to be traded, as well as veteran center Dwight Howard getting into drama off the court. It was an extremely dysfunctional year for the Wizards, ending much outside the playoffs. This year, things are starting to look up, as Bradley Beal re-signed with the Wizards for 3 years, as well as having the young assets to make noise in the future. But as of January 2nd, 2020, they have a record of 10-23, and they don't look to be competitive anytime soon. But in the span of 2.5 years, they went from one game away from the Eastern Conference Finals to a rebuilding franchise. And that is the downfall of the Washington Wizards. Thank you for watching this video. If you like the video, like it. If you like content like this, subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one.